Hello everybody and welcome back to the Mocap Bear channel where we discuss all things NFTs and crypto gaming. I want to apologize before we get into the video. I have not made a video in about a month and a half, which is a long time even for me. And the reason is because I've been part of a hackathon, ETH Online, where that hackathon ended around the 15th. So now that that's over, I can continue to make videos and hopefully bring you guys some great gains in the process so that you can get in super early on these projects. The project that I want to discuss today is Pegaxy. I think that's how you say it, Pegaxy or Pegaxy. And this project is a really interesting one. It's a horse racing game. So if you've heard of games like Zrun, if you've heard of games like D-Race, this is very similar. Both those games are getting a lot of attention right now, and Pegaxy, if we go over to their Twitter, is actually very new. As you can see, currently they only have about, somewhere in the realm of 6,100 followers, which is nothing. And to be honest, this is a very early game to get in on. And they're having their first NFT sale October 29th, which is coming up very soon. And I'm going to talk about how you get into that. And they're also having their token sale for PGX on November 5th. So let's get into this, let's discuss it, and learn more about it. So let's start by just comparing the socials with its competitors. If we go over to the Twitters of Zrun, which was one of the first horse racing games founded, we can see that they have 53,000 followers. And if we go over to D-Race, which is another horse racing game, we see that they have 115,000 followers. So these horse racing games are very popular. D-Race was only released this year. So Pegaxy is still very early in this space. I personally believe that horse racing is a very popular niche in crypto because sports is a very popular niche in crypto. I see crypto being advertised in sports stadiums all over the world. I think that there's a huge gambling community that crosses over into horse racing. And I think that that is a big reason why these horse games are so popular. And Pegaxy being an early entrant into this space just makes me that much more bullish on it. Also, it should be worth mentioning that D-Race, which is the only horse platform that has a token out right now, have seen a monumental rise in their token since launch. As you can see, it was released in August. It was at about 60 cents. And since then, it's just made a gradual climb up to $3. So people have been piling into these games. And as I said, I think one of the big reasons why is because gambling is such a huge thing in crypto, and it is such a big thing in sport and horse racing as well. So this is going to be a big area going forward into 2022. I can tell you that much. I also wanted to mention one more reason why I'm bullish on these horse racing games, because if we look at Zrun, we can see that I just happened to find this article, but there's a number of articles about this. Zrun is one of the only crypto games that has raised money from major VC firms such as Andreessen Horowitz. They just raised about 20 million from Andreessen Horowitz, which is a huge venture capital firm in Silicon Valley. So if those people think that this is a bullish area of crypto, I tend to think that this is also a bullish area of crypto. That is one way I invest. So let's take a look at some of the game art just to get a sense of the game. These are just some images I found on Twitter. This is Stadium Metaverse, which I'm assuming is going to be one of their stadiums. And already right off the bat, we kind of get a sense of this game. It is a auto racer. So what that means is essentially you won't manually race the horses, at least not initially. You will breed the horses or buy the NFTs, and then you will race them. And then based off of a random number generator, we will see who wins the race. And each of these horses have different skills. They have different bloodlines, which I'll get into in a minute. But essentially, the DNA of these horses combined with the random number generator will determine the outcome of the race. Although the team does plan to eventually include manual control so that skilled racers will be able to manually race their horses, which is really cool. That is different from both D-Race and Zrun, which are both auto racers. Let's just take a look at some of the other images here. So this is very neat. This is a very futuristic stadium, more clear image of what we just saw. As you can see, we have a little drone right there. That's what it appeared, or maybe that's some sort of camera that follows the horses. But it seems like, unlike Zed Run, where the horses run in a straight line, these horses will be running in more of a stadium circular formation, which is more like an actual racehorse. So let's just go on up here, and you can see that we have a image of a horse and some equipment and gear. And this is very interesting. This is one of the things I really like about Pegaxy, is that there are multiple strategies you can use that enhance your ability to employ skill to win these races. So in other horse racing games, you can breed your horse, you can race, you can choose which races to run your horse in. These are all different forms of strategy, but they're very limiting. In Pegaxy, you can do all of that, and you can also do other things as well. You can choose which gear you want to equip your horse with, which will determine the outcome of the race, in addition to their traits. As you can see, their traits are down here. These elemental traits right here determine which types of races they run in. So some races will be windy, some races will have rain, some races will have, a higher ratio of fire. I'm interested to see how that manifests in the game. But the horses that sync up with those elements will have a higher likelihood of winning or losing those races. So there's a lot of strategy that you can employ as a player that allows you to use your skill to determine which horses run the race. So, they've worked very hard to make this a skill-based game. They understand that they have an auto battler or an auto racer, and that takes a lot of skill out of the game. So what they've done is they've tried to make a lot of strategy happen outside of the game, which to me is a very good sign that the team really wants to make this a skill-based horse racing game. So let's just go over the website. This is what I'm talking about. So if we look at this Bloodlines tab, we can see that there are different types of horses, different breeds. There's Haas, which is kind of like this Zeus lightning bloodline. They are the rarest bloodline of the founding Pega. Then there's Campona, which is the one associated with fire. And they kind of have these cool traits, struggles associated with fiery conditions, resistant, fast. They're known as gods. You have Klin, Masters of Water. They're really good with tough weather. And then you have Zan, which really fare well during strong winds. So each of these horses, you'll be able to strategically determine which horses you want to play based off the race. And that's very cool. That's something that I have not seen in a lot of other games or horse racing games. Now, I want to get into the white paper a little bit because there's a lot of very interesting things in this game that make it stand out, which I want to kind of dive into. So if we go to the Pega Racing, for instance, we can see that, as I said, what they're trying to do is essentially allow for player-controlled racing. So what they want to do is they want to move away from the auto racer. As you can see, this is what it's going to look like kind of in the beginning, is this 2D kind of racing game. But they want to move away from that so that they get to player-controlled racing. I don't know how they're going to do that. That is a very challenging thing to accomplish when you have a game where people are paying money for NFT horses. They expect those horses to win. If you add a player element in there, well, now you've taken some of that out of the equation. If the player can win by controlling it, if we move it to skill-based instead of kind of you're paying for powerful horses, then it becomes a difficult balancing act. So I will be looking into this more, and I will be trying to see how they do this. I'm not saying they can't do it, but I am saying that this is a very difficult challenge to solve, I think. The other interesting thing that they have, which really stuck out to me, is renting. Now, if you've heard of Axie Infinity, you probably know about the scholarship system, where essentially that people who cannot afford an Axie, because Axies can get very expensive, they will depend on a manager to essentially create this scholarship for them, where they'll be able to use the Axie in-game and the manager will get a share of the profits that they earn in game from using their axes. And that system is all done on an unsecured network. Essentially, it's done through Reddit and Discord. And it's all kind of done just fly of the hand. The players completely invented the system themselves, and there's no real secure way to transact these axes. What you do is essentially you just create a separate account for the scholar, and it's kind of goes on a trust system more or less. So what Pegaxy did, which I think is very innovative, is they created an actual escrow contract, a smart contract to essentially handle this whole process. They have fixed renting, which is kind of like your traditional renting, real world renting where you will pay a fixed price for using that axie. They have profit share renting, which is very similar to the scholarship system I just described. And then they have direct rental for yield guilds like YGG. So that actually is very innovative. I've not yet seen that in a game. The fact that Pegaxy is one of the first games I've seen this in makes me very bullish about the future of Pegaxy. And it would just in terms of that, I do think if you folks know any other games that have done that, please comment down below and let me know. This is the first time I'm seeing it here. I think that this is obviously a better way to handle the whole scholarship system. Let me just get into the tokens very quickly. If we go down here, they have two tokens. They have a governance token, which I mentioned before, PGX. I guess this is the governance token, so it provides all the same features that a governance token would. Community treasury, staking, I think probably voting rights in the future of some sort. Then we have their utility token, and their utility token functions very similarly to SLP in Axie Infinity. It's minted when you win a race, and it's burned when you breed a horse. So, like Axie Infinity, the way this token is burned and used is for breeding new horses. And horses have, if we just go up here to the breeding category, you see that they have breed counts. Horses can only breed a certain number of times. I think this will probably depend on the horse you're breeding and the bloodlines. But you can also see that they have a cost associated with that as well. There are no familial restrictions in Pegaxy. So unlike Axie Infinity, where you can't breed cousins and family members, the horses in Pegaxy are machines. So realistically, they can breed with whatever. You mix metal together, it's going to create another robot. That's kind of the concept here. So there are no familial restrictions when breeding these Pegaxy, or Pega, I should say. Some other features to talk about are just they're going to plan to do all the things that a lot of these other horse racing games are going to do. If we go to their roadmap, we can see that, just briefly, if we look over it, we can see that they plan to introduce stadiums. So people will be able to buy stadiums. They have their first stadium sale event is going to be Q1 2022, so we'll watch out for that on this channel. And they also plan to release Pegaxy, the game, on iOS, Android app stores. So they're doing stuff that is very similar to a lot of what these other horse racing games are going to do, except for the fact that, again, they want to introduce this secondary racing mode and player-controlled horse racing. They even plan to have a Perseus Rider NFT that sometime in 2023 that you'll be able to outfit your horse with. So again, I'm very interested to see how they make this player-controlled horse racing work. I have thought about this. This is actually a very difficult issue to solve, so I'm interested to see how they approach it. So the very last thing I want to do before we get into the upcoming events, such as the NFT drop, the token drop, and all that fun stuff, is I just want to show you some gameplay footage. And I'm going to link this video down below. This is from a live stream that I watched on October 22nd, where they showed us some gameplay. They talked about the token sales. They talked about how most of their events will happen every Friday evening, I think for the next several weeks. So be on guard for that. But yeah, let me just show you some of this footage so you can get a sense of the game. If we go up here, Yeah. So that is just a very brief glimpse of the gameplay, just navigating their website. It's a lot like Zedrun's website. As you can see, Zedrun has racing, they have breeding, they have a marketplace. And again, this game is big. They have gotten funding from Andreessen Horowitz, some very heavy-hitting VC firms. D-Race, same deal. Partnerships with big sports. I think they just made a partnership with a big kind of NFL sports figure. So again, all very it's looking good for Pegaxy, I think, if we're basing it off their two competitors right here. Should also mention too that the NFTs for both D-Race and Zedrun have fetched huge prices. The top of these NFTs, for those who aren't familiar, have reached $30,000 and upwards. If we go to Zedrun's OpenSea just here, this is their area on OpenSea. We can click on a Breathless Edge, which is the highest last sale, and we scroll down and we see that just 11 days ago, this was sold for 110 Ethereum. So these are the types of prices that I think we can expect with Pegaxy as well if this game gets to these popularity levels. Now, as I mentioned before, Pegaxy has a couple very big events coming up. If we go over to their Twitter, you can see that on October 29th, they have their big NFT sale, and then they also have their PGX token sale on November 5th. Now, in order to get in on the Pega NFT sale, you have to be on a whitelist. And I would suggest you do this as soon as possible because the whitelist is, I think it's of limited spaces, and the NFT sale is coming up on October 29th. So if you weren't sent a direct link like I was, I have a referral link that you can use to access this whitelist and get yourself set up. Also, being on the whitelist does not guarantee you to an NFT. These NFT sales are going to be very competitive. So if you are on the whitelist for the Pega NFT sale, just be aware that I believe there might only be 5,000 Pega that are being sold, and there's about 10,000 people on the whitelist. So very competitive, first come, first serve. It's not going to be easy to get one of these. So that is essentially the NFT sale. Unfortunately, it is just extremely competitive, but I'm sure that there will be more, and there will definitely be more opportunities to grab one of these Pegas in the future. The next thing to keep your eye out on, if you missed this, is the IDO PGX token sale on Crystal Go. So I think that they will be having a whitelist for that as well. So keep your eyes peeled on their Twitter just in case, and on their website. So before we wrap up the video, let me show you how to get on the whitelist and fill in your information so we can get that settled. So the first thing you'll do is you'll see this private link that is sent to you in your email. You'll see the link right there. This will take you directly to the Pegaxy website. You'll then connect your MetaMask wallet. You'll switch to the Matic network. All transactions happen on the Polygon Matic network when you're dealing with Pegaxy. Once you do that, you sign some transactions. As you can see, I have my email right there. All transactions are free, by the way. You don't have to pay anything for this. You just sign, and then you are complete. So that is how you register for the whitelist in Pegaxy. And again, you have until October 29th to do it. If you weren't able to get that direct link, I actually have a referral link that I'm going to put in the video down below, and you can click that link and register for the whitelist yourself. So that is it. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you liked it. I hope you got some great information. Stay tuned for more updates. Please like, comment, subscribe, and have a good one.